Energy Efficiency Audit, and why should my company conduct one? My name is Ken Ross. I'm the head of the GCX Energy Department, and I'll be hosting and presenting your webinar today. Let's start with what we will be covering today. We'll speak about global carbon exchange. We'll then start discussing carbon and energy in South Africa and try and demystify what an energy efficiency audit is, and then go through the energy efficiency audit process. We'll then discuss the business case for an energy efficiency audit, as well as the funding opportunities that exist in South Africa for energy efficiency. We'll discuss energy action plans, as well as basic energy management tools that a company can use to begin to save energy. And finally, we'll finish off with some case studies to highlight what can be done to save energy. We'll be having a Q&A session at the end of the presentation, so please type your questions in the chat box as you think of them. I'll try to answer as many of these questions as possible at the end. Any unanswered questions will receive an email response within a few days after this webinar, and I will get back to all the questions that I asked. So let's start a bit about global carbon exchange, or GCX. We're a leading environmental, sustainability, consultancy, and training provider. We focus on carbon, energy, water, and waste measurement and management. We develop environmental sustainability strategy and policy, as well as offer 10 environmental training courses. These focus around carbon, energy, and water, as well as greening the office and residential eco-auditing. We have offices in Cape Town, Johannesburg, Durban, Namibia, and the United States of America, and our team consists of commercial, environmental, and educational experts. We have worked with many of South Africa's leading brands and have a very diverse customer mix. All of our clients are proactive companies who have taken a leadership role in climate change and carbon management in Southern Africa. So let's speak about carbon and energy in South Africa. In South Africa, electricity is primarily generated using coal as the primary fuel source. This results in South Africa being the 12th largest emitter of CO2 in the world, as well as South Africa being the largest emitter in the world per unit of GDP. This is mainly as a result of our power mix, which our electricity accounts for over 50% of our carbon footprint in South Africa. Our power is predominantly supplied from Eskom, which is majority coal-based power stations, with 88% of the country's power mix being from coal-fired power stations. The next largest contributor is open cycle gas turbines. These OCGTs use diesel as its primary fuel source, another fossil fuel, which adds to our carbon footprint associated with our electricity. The carbon neutral forms of energy are nuclear, which has other environmental concerns, and a small amount of hydro and a minuscule amount of wind, which make up the final power mix in South Africa. So not only does South Africa have a very dirty power mix, but we also use energy very inefficiently. If you compare South Africa, highlighted in red on this diagram, to other similar countries, and you look at our electricity consumption per capita on the x-axis and compare it to our GDP per capita on the y-axis, we see that South Africa uses a very large amount of electricity per person at just over 4,800 kilowatt hours per person per year. Similar countries such as Brazil, who have slightly lower GDP per capita, but they use significantly less, actually less than half the energy per person to do the same amount of work. So this shows that not only does South Africa have very dirty electricity, but we're also notoriously bad when it comes to using it efficiently. So what are South Africa's policies and standards surrounding energy? Well, we all know about the newly announced Integrated Resource Plan, which is shortly to be pushed through Parliament. This allows for a significant growth in the renewable energy sector, and I'll discuss this in a few slides' time. We also have policies with regards to renewable energy. The white paper in South Africa on renewable energy was published in the early 2000s and specifies very stringent targets, or very excitable targets, for renewable energy in South Africa. At this stage, very few of these targets have been met, and we are hoping to see an uptake of renewable energy in the next couple of years. With regards to buildings and new buildings in South Africa, a draft standard has been proposed, the SANS 204, which specifies certain levels of energy efficiency and maximum demand that buildings in various sectors in South Africa can use. Coupled with this is the Green Building Council of South Africa, which has been in existence for just over 3 years now. The Green Building Council of South Africa is a voluntary association which promotes the use of green building principles in new buildings, mainly in the commercial and retail sector at the moment. The Green Building Council of South Africa aims to encourage companies to get a Green Star rating to show off how well they have done in terms of building a green building. There have been energy efficiency tax incentives announced by our Minister of Finance surrounding tax incentives for energy saved. While still in the early stages and details are still not that clear, these tax incentives are hopefully going to provide a significant incentive to companies to promote energy efficiency. And then there's the big scary one from Eskom, the Power Conservation Program, and more importantly, the Energy Conservation Scheme. The Energy Conservation Scheme is centered around penalties for companies who don't make energy-saving targets. These targets are defined per sector, with the main sectors being commercial and industrial, where commercial sector is required to reduce its baseline by 20% and the industrial sector by 8%. It's very stringent penalties have been proposed for both of these schemes, which will hopefully lead to further energy savings in South Africa. So I spoke about the Integrated Resource Plan, and here it is in a nutshell. If we were to look at the proposed new build gigawatts, which should double our current capacity, this plan is for the next 20 years, from 2010 to 2030. There has been a significant amount of promises regarding solar PV, CSP, and wind. However, there are still significant types of fossil fuel plants, namely the coal and gas turbines, with nuclear being the largest contributor to the Integrated Resource Plan. But now, why does South Africa need new capacity, and why are we in such an energy crisis? South Africa has a significant energy shortfall. If we look at the year 2011, we are looking at approximately 6 terawatt hours shortfall in energy. This is to increase significantly to 2012, where we're expecting to have a 9 terawatt hour energy shortfall. This is equivalent to about 1,000 megawatts of South Africa's baseload capacity. As you can see from this figure, which was presented by Eskom, we are expecting to see energy shortfalls right up until the year 2015. These are very significant and will have significant impacts on the country's economic growth. These shortfalls, it must also be noted, are projected with the anticipated new build program all being completed on time. Should the new build programs fall behind schedule, we'll be in a situation where we'll have continuing energy shortfalls well up to the year 2020. So, energy efficiency. Energy efficiency is using less energy to provide the same service. That is key. You have to provide the same service. So in a manufacturing plant, you have to produce the same amount of goods you would have before an energy efficiency project. The key here is just to reduce your energy consumption whilst providing the same service. So what is an energy efficiency audit? An energy efficiency audit allows you to establish a historical and your current energy consumption. This is important in identifying trends and seeing how your facility or your company has used energy in the past. It allows you to create a performance baseline. A performance baseline identifies how your facility uses energy in order to do what its function is. So again, if it's a manufacturing plant, how does the manufacturing of goods and your product output affect your energy consumption? In a commercial environment, how do external factors such as weather or occupancy affect the energy consumption of your building? So once you've identified your historical and current energy consumption and created a performance baseline, you can then identify energy management opportunities. These are areas where you can reduce your energy consumption. Finally, an energy efficiency audit allows you to benchmark your facility against other similar types of facilities. This is very important in ensuring that you have a competitive edge and being able to produce your goods or perform the service you need to perform at the lowest possible cost. So the energy efficiency audit process. Now, an energy efficiency audit process is quite involved, and it begins with planning of the audit. As no two sites are the same, it's very important to sit down and plan an audit in order to set our timelines, milestones, and goals. These timelines, milestones, and goals allow you to identify the correct people you have to interact with in a company in order to achieve the energy audit objectives, which are namely to reduce energy consumption, thereby reducing cost. So planning the audit allows you to not only set out a timeline, but also to identify the key people to work with so that all processes are understood. Then comes the old adage, you can't manage what you haven't measured. So it's very important then to install monitoring equipment in the facility. This monitoring equipment is used to measure things such as the incoming electrical feed, as well as to monitor individual pieces of energy consuming equipment, such as large chiller plants or large pieces of factory equipment. This will give you very good insight into current energy consumption and current demand requirements in a facility. So now, once you've planned the audit, installed the monitoring equipment, the next step is to conduct the audit. This involves doing a full energy inventory of all energy consuming devices within a facility. The energy inventory allows you to examine the current state of technology used in a facility and coupling that with your log demand profile from your monitoring equipment and the information you've received from the key personnel during the planning stage allows you to accurately model energy consumption within a facility. Once the energy consumption is modeled and you have a very good understanding of where energy is used in what processes, you then assess all available options. Now, this is a key step in the energy efficiency audit process. By assessing all available options, you don't look just at single ad hoc interventions, as there is no one-size-fits-all solution for every building. As each building or facility is different, the options have to be assessed for various reasons, whether it be occupational health and safety to ensure that the standards are still met, or whether it be to ensure that production continues in a facility even after an energy efficiency retrofit. These options should also be analyzed financially, so not only in accordance with health and safety and accordance with productivity in a facility, but also what the financial impact will be. So you need to look at how much energy is going to be saved, the cost reduction for a company, and what the payback periods and ROIs are. Finally, once all these options have been assessed, an energy action plan is developed. This energy action plan is crucial in maintaining long-term sustainable energy savings. It is centered around return on investment so that whoever is involved knows that the investments they're going to make will make the company money in the long run. Right. So when you're doing an energy efficiency audit, what areas need to be examined? It's very important to look initially at voltage levels and power